Hello everyone, welcome to another video. This will be a short one as I want to explore a topic that came to me while working on the White Walker Revisited video. You can watch the first part of that here with more to come. Anyway, today I want to talk about Jon Snow. When we leave off in A Dance with Dragons, he has been betrayed by the Night's Watch and left for dead. In the show, he comes back pretty quickly, resurrected by Melisandre. But doesn't this seem strange? George R.R. Martin has always criticized Tolkien bringing back Gandalf as his greatest mistake, saying that he would have left him dead. And yet he's going to turn around and seemingly do the exact same thing with Jon Snow. Could it be that this is a trick, and that maybe Jon Snow cannot or will not come back? We all want him to, but even if he does, he may no longer be fully Jon Snow. So join me for a quick discussion of what may prevent things from being so clean, and hit that bell notification, like and share the video, and subscribe. I hope to have content out at least every other week going forward. So let's dive in. At the end of Dance, Jon is gone, betrayed by the Night's Watch for letting the wildlings come south of the wall. He is surrounded and stabbed by his comrades Caesar style, for the Watch. His final thought in the book is of Ghost as he collapses, and it's a popular theory that because of his final thought, that Jon Snow has in fact warged into his direwolf Ghost. We've known that Jon Snow, along with seemingly all the Stark children, are wargs, and we know that Jon is a powerful one himself. However, unlike Bran, Jon has had no guide and no training, and never consciously used his power. He's only ever used it in dreams. However, this emergency may be the catalyst for Jon Snow to actively use his power for the first time, fleeing into Ghost to avoid permanent death. This is called a second life, and several characters do this in the story, such as Arel and his eagle, for example. So that presents us with our first interesting question. If Jon Snow's spirit is inside Ghost, then he isn't technically dead, only his body is. He isn't in the afterlife or the great beyond, or as he and Beric say in the show, nothingness. But he is actually living his best second life as a good boy inside the direwolf. And an interesting fact that we've learned from the prologue of Dance is that once a warg's original body is dead, they lose their warging power. Or at least that's what we are told. Warging into a human is a big no-no, and seems to be a struggle even for a powerful warg like Vaemir Sixskins. And Sixskins is a character from the prologue of Dance with Dragons, and is weak and near death in this chapter. He does attempt to take over the wildling woman that's with him, but he fails. So it's tough to say if people north of the wall would attempt to go into a human upon death to confirm that, hey, they have in fact lost their power to move their spirit back and forth. It's taboo to begin with, and a risk if you fail, and it would probably result in the death of the second person and yourself when others find out what you've done, as you'd now be sharing a body and forever fused. Also, we should note that most wargs seem to really only have one animal, and with warging into humans being an obvious problem both culturally and power-wise, why chance it not knowing what lies beyond failure? So, assuming that this rule applies to Jon, it would seem that he would be stuck in Ghost and unable to warg back into his own body. The longer he stays in Ghost, the more of his humanity he may lose as well. In the show he comes back within a day or so. In the book, it may take much longer, and who knows what that may look like. But of course, we have a red priest at the wall. So let's assume that Melisandre does bring Jon Snow back to life and resurrect him the way we saw in the show. I'd imagine it would still be an issue for someone to revive the body only for the spirit or consciousness of that person to not be present. Would such a spell end up backfiring? And could Jon Snow end up a vegetable, the same way we saw Khal Drogo? Or would his body be a shell, vulnerable to others to take control over, such as Bran or Bloodraven, or maybe even worse? Wouldn't that be interesting, for Jon to return, but for him to distinctly no longer be the Jon that we knew, but someone or something else? Maybe if they are somehow able to pull him out of Ghost, despite his warging ability possibly having been destroyed with his body, he will take a piece of Ghost with him, becoming more reckless and wolf-like and aggressive, having the wolf's blood we sometimes hear about. It does seem a little too obvious that Melisandre will revive Jon in the book, just as she had in the show. She's had her vision of Jon being a man, then a wolf, then back to a man, and she said that she is much more powerful at the wall and capable of things she thought she wouldn't be able to do. In the book, she never leaves the wall, even though in the show she runs off south and then runs right back to the wall. In that same prophecy, she asks to see Azor Ahai and sees only snow. But again, what if this is all a trick and Jon is just a red herring? What if Melisandre is asking the Red God and only being shown literal snow, literal nothing? There is this small chance that this could be too much for Melisandre to resurrect Jon Snow. We know that bringing Beric back is taking its toll on Thoros, and Melisandre is very old. I don't doubt that the wall has made her stronger, but she still may need more to pull this off without killing herself, or maybe that will be the end of her story in Westeros, giving herself up to bring Jon Snow back, as again, only death can pay for life. This also means she may have to sacrifice Shireen, or possibly Gilly's child, who she thinks is Mance Rayder's child, for that extra power boost, but we'll have to wait and read, as Melisandre is aware that the children were switched. If any character is able to tell that Jon is not dead but is alive and ghost, it will be Melisandre, as she is able to sense wargs already, as we know from her burning Orell's eagle, and maybe this will give her pause, or maybe this is a trick that will be hopeful for Jon's return, only to be disgusted at the cost. I like to think of it in the situation of Theon Greyjoy, who of course we all wanted revenge on for his betrayal, only to see his massive suffering at the hands of Ramsay. But of course, as I mentioned at the beginning of the video, our biggest hint that Jon may not come back or may not be resurrected in the same person that we knew is that quote from George R.R. Martin on Gandalf. We are all expecting the hero to return, but in the show, Jon has been pretty useless. And I hate saying that, but what did he really do? He almost lost the Battle of the Bastards, he failed to kill the Night King, failed to keep Dany in check, and then after killing her, he gets banished back to the Night's Watch, which doesn't even make sense, but whatever. If Jon has a larger role to play in the story to come, it seems odd that he was sidetracked so heavily in those final seasons. It could be a hint that his story really ends, and there is simply nothing else for him to do, which is why we got what we got. So those are my thoughts. What do you think? Do you think that Jon is trapped inside of Ghost? Can he just warg back into his own body and Vaimar made that up? Does this create a problem, or will he just be straight up resurrected by Melisandre like in the show? I'm anxious to hear what you guys think. This is just a quick video. There's not a ton of details here, but let me know in the comments what you think, and I'll see you on the next video.